You're listening to The Moose and the Loose, your 10 minutes action-packed financial podcast with your host, Mike Yahoo. Hey, what's up, Market Moose? Mike from The Moose and the Loose. I hope you're doing well today. I wanted to circle back around retirement planning this morning, mostly because I've seen so many people asking so many questions at different stages. And then I thought, what would be the perfect age to start retirement planning? Or actually, by decades, what should you be doing? Because technically, if you are a smart person, you would start retirement planning on year one, which is impossible, but maybe your parents started to do that for you already, because the power of compounding interest is crazy. And it's even crazier if you are able to start when you're a toddler. But of course, probably not going to happen for most of us. So let's take a look at what could be done starting in your 20s. You know, a while ago in 2017, actually between 2016 and 2017, I took a 1-year sabbatical. Did an RV road trip. We bought a small Class C, 25 feet long for my wife and 3 kids. And we started our adventure, of course, in Quebec. We went all the way West Coast. So did the Rockies and then Highway 1 through Oregon and California. That was amazing. Then the Baja and then Mexico and all the way down to Costa Rica. So we spent about 7 months in Central America, and the rest of it was driving throughout Canada and the US for a full year. Of course, when we did that, it didn't start the same day. It didn't start in 2016 in June when we actually quit the house, left the house behind, and then started our adventure in the RV. It started like several years ago, 2 years ago to be precise, with our planning. And it's similar to retirement planning. When you do such a huge road trip, at first what you need is just like guidance. You need a foundation. So when you're in your 20s and you're asking yourself, okay, what can I do in towards retirement planning? You don't need to get that specific. You need to learn how to budget to spend less than you earn. So start saving, start investing. So you need a direction. So similar to my RV trip, at first we were just chatting with a glass of wine on the terrace, and we're just like, yeah, so how about taking a sabbatical year to travel the world? That's how it started. So we looked at the backpack option. We looked at doing that with bicycles, and I kid you not, that was on the table. I quickly said no, but the whole discussion started because my wife actually read a blog of a family cycling their way through Mexico, and I thought, no way it's going to happen. But anyways, and then we ended up with the RV. So at first we're just like, okay, so let's start with the RV. We're going to do like North America, Central America. At first we thought maybe it's possible to go all the way down to Argentina. Then I kind of realized, and this is what happens between your 20s and your 30s, you get some roadblocks. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. I realized that going to Argentina was a really long trip, and it would take me more 2 years than 1 year. I realized also that I didn't speak Spanish, that technology was not that great back over those places. So a lot of like roadblocks. And when you start investing in your 20s and then you get in your 30s, that's also something that is hard, because in your 30s, you're going to have a lot of like roadblocks, financial roadblocks. So maybe you're going to build a family, maybe you're going to buy a house, you're going to have like more expenses, you want to treat yourself a little bit more. So a lot of distraction that could maybe seem that your retirement plan is tougher to execute than you thought. Things are improving though. So when you start thinking about retirement planning in your 30s, it's still very young. You still have like the power of compounding. Maybe you're a bit strapped on cash because you have those financial responsibilities around, but you should continue with that direction. Very important to keep on investing. And actually, if more people would plan their retirement in their 20s and 30s, that would be just crazy. And by planning, I mean setting up a budget, starting investing, regardless of the strategy, just like keep on systematic investing. Even if you do it with a financial advisor, like in a high fee mutual fund, it's a lot better than not doing anything else because you're busy, because you're distracted, maybe you don't have the time. But then you move into your 40s, and in your 40s, if you start retirement planning there, well, this is the time that you can use the money full force. If you have done things correctly in your 20s and 30s, well, you could become a millionaire in your 40s because the now you start to benefit from the power of compounding interest. So that's the entire reason of starting early is if you were able to amass more than $100,000 in your 30s, well, then it's going to double and then double and then double. And then eventually towards the end of your 40s, beginning of your 50s, you're going to get close to $1 million bucks if you have done this correctly, which is crazy and it's amazing. And I know it's not everybody that will be able to do that, but no matter what the number is, the power of compounding will still work. In your 40s, now it's time to, you have tried different things. Now it's time to really stick to a strategy. You had plenty of time to had fun in your 20s trying to invest massively in a bunch of stuff, see what works, what's not. In your 30s, maybe you started to learn a little bit more about investing. And then in your 40s, you're just like, okay, now it's time to stick to a strategy. And keep in mind, there are several strategies that are working, but in your 40s is really time to stick to one to really benefit from the full force of that future strategy. It could be index investing, it could be sector investing, it could be momentum, it could be dividend growth investing. For the little story, I started dividend growth investing in my 30s, so I was a little bit younger, and I just happened to stick to it for the past 14 years now. Super happy to have found this at the beginning of my 30s so I could actually feel a lot more comfortable with the strategy that I have in place. And I know the pros, I know the cons as well, and I'm a lot more comfortable with that, which is the most important part as you age. If you start planning in your 50s, it's going to be tougher, of course. You're probably going to enter into a phase of cleanup. So you like got a bunch of stuff like what your garage looked like, not necessarily bad stuff, but all over the place, not necessarily making much sense, a lot of boxes here and there. So same thing if you have like some stocks, some growth, some momentum, some penny stocks, some ETFs, some high yield, some other types of products, but they're not aligned with a strategy. So now it's time to do that cleanup if you have not done it in your 30s and 40s, and then find a strategy. It's also time to refine some details because now retirement is approaching. So now is the time to start thinking about, when will I retire? Can I have enough money? So that would be the right time to do a more in-depth financial projection. So between 20 to 40, you could easily just go with an investment calculator just to say, hey, if I put like $200 a month for every month for the next 40 years, what it's going to look like. And then as you get closer, so in your 50s, I think it's really worth it. And you will have the means to pay for a financial projection, go for a fee-only advisor to refine those details, know a little bit more about your next route. So that would be like during my RV trip, I knew that on December 1st, I had to be in Costa Rica. So not before, not after. That was my end point. So of course, in October, I did not know when exactly I will be 10 days before. But as I entered November, right before the month before, I was in Nicaragua. So then I had only 30 days to plan. It was a lot easier to know exactly what to do, where to spend our time, which beach to enjoy, and when we will cross the road and move to Costa Rica on December 1st. In your 60s, if you are not retired already and you're preparing for retirement, this is where you need all the details like set up. So you must prepare your portfolio for your withdrawal strategies, making sure that you understand and know how you're going to generate your paycheck. You need to make a decision about CPP and OAS. You also need to make a decision about whether or not you should convert your RSP into a RIF faster than later. And this is really a case by case. So please do the projections, do the calculations, because sometimes it's a very smart idea to start your RIF and withdrawing from your RSP very fast, and sometimes it's not a good idea. And sometimes it depends. So you need to do this calculation. The numbers will tell you. There are tax implication, there are financial situation, there are also emotional situation. It depends on how much, like if you want to maximize your income as you live or your estate for your heirs. Those all of those questions needs to be answered. Speaking of which, actually, I have a new project called Retirement Loop that will help you in those questions. The goal is to create a online community for people about to retire or retirees in Canada. So Retirement Loop will be helping you as a community to be a safe place where you can ask your question. There will be support. We will teach you how to build your own financial projections and own financial plans. So you'll be the master and you'll be able to update it whenever you want. You will have access to tons of resources, but also to others people to pick their mind where they live exact same situation as you do. So if you are interested in learning more and you want to be kept in the loop, you can go at dividendstocksrock.com/loop to register for the waitlist. The retirement community is launching at the end of December for those who are not member at DSR. So you will receive more emails. So dividendstocksrock.com/loop. And yeah, so tomorrow we're going to talk about Business Friday. And until then, don't forget to stay invested.
Hey, welcome to the disclaimer. If you're listening to The Moose and the Loose, you cannot really expect me to give you buy or sell recommendation or financial advice, right? You're here for fun, you're here for information and some entertainment. But I am not your financial advisor, I am not your broker, so therefore I'm not liable if you're losing money after listening to the podcast. If you're looking for some advice, go see a professional. If not, you can enjoy the show and do your due diligence after it.